How do you manage stress as in a situation you can't control? I think we've done an episode on this before.
We have, but I think that we can tackle it from a different perspective, right? The reason, well, there's a lot of different areas, the ways that we can address this, but there's this catchy saying now. It's like a Stoic quote, right? Like, don't worry about things that you can't control. Well, it's not that easy. It's easy to say that, but it is not easy to do. And the reason for that is because of your brain. Your brain is always going to obsess over shit, especially bad things. That's just the way that the brain works. Over time, you can kind of train it to no longer do that as much, but it obsesses over that. So what we really need to do here is learn how to manage our thoughts and our emotions, to be more conscious of ourselves. And that's a very hard thing to do. And that's what no one ever talks about. Well, the way you manage stress is not to worry about things outside of your control. Well, that's easier said than done.
Way easier.
Right. And everyone listening to this can vouch for that. So how do we go about taking control, so to say, of our mind and our emotions, or these thoughts that we really are tired of thinking about? It's through meditation. It's through journaling. It's through talking to people, right? Getting it off your chest, getting it out of here. That's the main thing. Getting it out of here and out onto like whatever that is. Either if it's talking to a bro, writing it down, whatever it is, you just need to do something to get it out of your head. Because until then, until you learn to let this shit go, which is a very hard thing to learn, you just obsess over it and you obsess over it and you obsess over it. You have to have a tactic that works for you to get this kind of stuff out. Sometimes it's just physical exertion as well. There have been times when I just can't stop thinking about something. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do a extremely hard workout, right? I'm going to run myself into the ground where the only thing I can think about is trying to breathe. And those thoughts are no longer there. And that's all you need really, right? Whenever your brain is being obsessive, it's obsessively thinking, you just need that break. You just need that one thing to distract you long enough where it's no longer obsessing over this. And then it gets a lot easier, right? You don't think about it as much, but it's having that outlet that works for you to get that out. Another thing that helps with me is just going on a walk, because I can go on a long walk and I can work this shit out in my head, right? I'm looking all around me. That has like mental benefits as well, where it helps you get those things out. It helps you work through them. There's this therapist using this stuff. It's called EMDR, right? It's eye movement repetition, some bullshit. I'm not a scientist, guys, right? But it is a very effective form of therapy where your eyes dart back and forth, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And while you're doing that, you're replaying a traumatic experience. You're replaying something in your head that you want to work through. And the therapist is just kind of doing this with their finger back and forth, and you're watching it and you're thinking about this. And what that does is it kind of like reprograms your mind. Well, when you're out in nature, that's exactly what you're doing. You're looking all over the damn place. Your eyes are darting in far distances, up, down, side, whatever it is. But because you're not distracted, hopefully, you have your phone in the car or in your pocket or whatever it is, you're by yourself, you're looking all over the place, you're thinking about this issue that's bothering you, and you're also looking all over the place. That is nature's therapy. People don't understand how powerful it is. But like I said, this is something that psychologists do to help people, therapists and stuff like that. They do this in their office. And the way that it was developed is because I think it was this chick at Harvard back in like the 50s or something. Do not quote me on all these, right? But like I'm getting the gist of it. I know just enough to tell people. But anyways, there was this chick at Harvard back in like the 50s or something like that. And she realized when she was walking with her patients out in nature and they were talking about things, it brought them a lot of relief. And she's like, well, how can I replicate this in the office? And that's how she came up with EMDR. So just going on a walk, thinking about whatever is stressing you out, looking at nature will bring you relief. I said meditation earlier, just kind of sitting there without distractions and allowing your mind to work through this thing that you need to work through, that works as well. But honestly, that is the hardest part. Like out of all these options I just gave, I think that is the hardest because you really have to sit there. And sometimes you're like, oh my God, I don't want to think about this anymore. Well, if you're not distracting yourself, you're allowing it to run its course, so to say. And sometimes that might take weeks, months, but it's definitely not well, if you can't control it, don't think about it. That's not
It's
how the
not that
brain
easy.
works.
No.
That's not how the brain works. What do you think? What would you recommend?
You might not be able to control the situation, but you can control your response to the situation.
100%.
And how a big thing with me and how I learned to manage stress was understand that what stress did to my body and how it made me feel. It's increasing your cortisol. It's dumping adrenaline into your bloodstream. That's why you might get a little anxious when you're stressed. So understanding those and how negative that stress can impact your body helped me understand that I needed to do everything in my control to control it.
So it was a motivator.
Yes.
You understood the repercussions of being heavily stressed. You said, okay, well, this goes against all my other goals, who I want to be as a person. So I need to learn how to control this, or else I'm not going to be able to become this person that I want to be.
You need to be able to feel the situation, feel why you're stressed, understand the root cause of the stress, and then, understand what stress does to your body, regain your clarity on what you need to do and your decision making, and go from there. Also, what we try to do as humans is take everything collectively at once. We just pile our fucking plate up endlessly. Start small. Control the small things, fix the small things, and don't let it overwhelm you. Take your progress and keep going with that little by little.
The first thing to help them do exactly what you just said, stop and breathe. Stop and breathe. I should have said that in the beginning. I apologize for not doing so. The very first thing you need to do when you start feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling stressed, you need to stop. You need to detach, because you're not able to see the whole picture when you're right there in it. You need to detach from the situation and breathe. When you're breathing deep into your diaphragm with a slower exhalation, you are calming the nervous system. The more calm that you can make your nervous system, the less stressed you will be on your body and your mind. So the very first thing that you need to do when you start feeling the stress come about is to stop and breathe. Get control of yourself, because that's what that's doing. Whenever you stop and breathe and focus on your breath, you are getting control over yourself, over your mind, over your nervous system, all of these different things. And then from there, you can figure out, okay, what do I need to do now? I can't control this situation, right? Well, how do I let it go? And that's step 2, learning to let it go. And I like to look at this as repetition. It's just like in the gym, right? The more I lift this weight, the stronger I'm going to get, the bigger I'm going to get, the more resilient I'm going to get. Well, it's the same with letting shit go. The more that you can let go of this anger and annoyance and all of these different things, the better you're going to get at it. And that's my motivation. So you brought up your motivation. That is mine, is I know that every single time that I don't react in a bad way, I'm just getting better. I'm getting stronger. I'm going to be able to take on this next challenge even better, because I've already dealt with this in a more effective way, right? And then every time that you do that, it's going to get easier. And then in a year or so, I used to deal with this with anger, right? When I was growing up, I was a very angry person.
It's because you're a ginger.
It's because I'm a ginger, right?
Yeah.
We're all angry.
I understand.
We're all angry. But I also it was around the time my kid was born. Like I didn't want to be that angry, pissed off dad all the time. So, okay, well, what do I need? Like, I don't want to react like this, especially with like a newborn or something. Like she doesn't have any control. She's crying and maybe it's annoying me. Well, of course, like sometimes you just want to scream. Not necessarily at the kid. You just want to fucking scream. Well, is that necessary? Like, I should be able to control that. And then each time that I was able to better control my emotions and let go of the stress, the easier it gets. Now with my life, unfortunately, kind of, is
oh boy,
that the stress always builds. Like I'm always having to deal with different levels of stress. As soon as I get good at dealing with this, oh shit, here's a whole other level of stress. But that's my life that I chose.
Well, you hold yourself accountable too.
Hold myself accountable, but I also acknowledge that, why am I stressed? Well, it's because I'm trying to grow a business to the full extent. Like I'm trying to grow a company as big as it can get. right? Maybe I'm stressed out with my kid. Well, I chose to have a kid. Maybe I'm stressed out with myself. Well, am I getting enough sleep? Am I doing all of these things that you were talking about that I know will help me control stress? And a lot of times, no. Whenever I start losing control over that and I start feeling myself get out of control, I haven't been meditating. I haven't been doing breath work. I haven't been exercising. I haven't been writing. I haven't been reading. I haven't been doing all of this stuff that keeps me centered. So what do I do then? I start doing this stuff again. I did this very recently. I'm doing like a 30-day challenge right now where I'm re-implementing all of these tools because I fell away from it for a little bit, right? I think we talked about that on the last episode. I fell away from all of this stuff. Well, I know that this is what works for me and this is what keeps me centered. This is what allows me to be the best version of myself. So I make sure that I'm doing this stuff every day because it's like what you said. If you can't control your stress, then you're not going to be able to progress in anything. You didn't necessarily say that, but that was what you were getting to.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
I mean, that essentially, well, you might progress, but at what point could you be progressing better without the stress,
100%.
What was just drilling in my mind, recenter yourself, regain your clarity, and then evaluate the situation and see what steps you need to get there. Just break everything down besides trying to take it all in at once.
And also stop taking everything so seriously. A lot of the shit that we get stressed out about, even myself, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't. Like what I've been doing lately, I'd say over the past like 6 months or so, when I really catch myself just stressing, I just start laughing. There's a part of me that just starts laughing. And then I smile, right? And then as soon as I smile, well, the stress gets a little bit less as well. Because that's a chemical. Like every time you smile, you're releasing a chemical in your body that is pretty much like the last thing that stress wants. That's like your weapon against stress. Smiling, laughing, hanging out with people, having good conversations, stuff like that. But let's also talk about this real quick. Stress is not necessarily a bad thing. We think that we never need to be stressed. And if we are stressed, that something's wrong. No. If you are moving forward in life, then you're going to be stressed out. That is the reality of the situation. The only way to avoid that is to remain stagnant, which if that's what you want to do, that's all you. That's your life. But if you're someone that wants to pursue their goals, that wants to have the best life possible, that wants to experience life to its fullest, you're going to be stressed out. And that's okay. And it's acknowledging that, right? And it's realizing that it's not the end of the world. But it goes back to what I was saying. You are becoming more resilient. The more stress that you are able to handle, the more resilient that you are becoming. The better you're going to be able to handle future situations, future obstacles. You don't get to that point without dealing with stress on small scales. Like I said, in my life, it's always building. I'm always reaching a next level of stress that I have to deal with. But at this point, I'm pretty damn good at it. Like stuff that used to completely just send me into the ground mentally years ago, when I first started the company, I don't even think about it. Like if it happens now, I just handle it real quick and I'm on with the rest of my day.
That's it.
And I think about that as well. It's that experience, right? It's putting in the reps. It's getting that experience and knowing, because it's confidence. It's knowing that, well, I've already dealt with shit like this before. Who cares? Let's go. Let's go, baby. Let's do the damn thing. You get excited about it. Well, I've already done this. Well, I'm going to do it again.
And see how I can do it better this time.
Do it better this time. You challenge yourself. You look forward to it because you know that you're growing. And that's really the mindset there, right? Whenever it comes to stress, know that the better you are able to handle it, the more that you are growing. Stress is not necessarily a bad thing. I do think that we stress about a lot of stupid shit that isn't necessary, and it's having conscious awareness of that and being like, this is not worth my time and energy. I need to knock this shit off and start implementing that in your life. Taking a step back and be like, is this worth stressing about? No, get the fuck out of here then. But then other things, goals, ambitions, family, whatever it is, that is worth stressing about. But you're growing, and that's your motivation. You're getting better.
Perspective is everything.
It's everything.
I do want to make a little point about the recentering techniques that you've talked about, and I do the same thing as far as breath work, meditation, reading, writing, all that stuff once you learn how to connect to yourself and do those things, those are all just tools
That's all any
that
of it
keep
is.
in your pocket.
Yeah.
You never forget how to do that. So when you are approached with a situation that you might feel overwhelmed in, you just pull that out and keep it going.
We have tools for the gym, right? People wear knee sleeves, wrist wraps, all the shit that we sell through Norse. People have tools at work. Well, you need to have tools in place to deal with yourself. Those are the most important tools, and they're not going to be the same for everybody. That's the stuff that works for me and Cody. Maybe it doesn't work for you. Experiment, find what works best for you, and put that in your arsenal. And remember it. How did I deal with this last time? Oh yeah, I stopped and I breathed for a second. And then I did this. Okay, cool. It's remembering that stuff and having those tools in your arsenal. So I'm glad you brought that up because that's 100% what it is. It's not like some hippie garbage bullshit. It is tools to help you become a better person and to help you deal with this stress.
And really anything.
And anything.
And any problem you face, like as long as you have a technique that works for you or a few techniques that work for you, you're going to be able to, conquer that problem a little bit easier.
Every time.
Yep.
It gets easier and easier each time. So look at it as a challenge. Look at it as something as, yeah, you can't necessarily control it, but you can learn to control yourself with certain tools. And if anything, look at it as a fun game. That's what it is. It's all a game, guys. And you're in here to win it. So do that.